I don't even remember.
I literally said it on the show.
I was just scrolling down X and there was a post from you talking about NKC. I'm like, Mark's NKC?
Bro, I literally told you on the air.
I listen to you. I listen to you a lot on this show. Sometimes.
Apparently not enough.
Let me send this post out on X real quick. Chiefs Coast to Coast episode 73. My goodness. What a time. You got here for the back end of this brutal weather we've been having.
Yeah. I saw the high was 10 today, and I guess that was a hot streak for you guys over the past week or so. I think tomorrow's going to be like in the 30s. I think I saw that, or was that the day after? One day this week I saw it was going to be 30s. It's like, oh, wow, that's a big deal.
If you had tickets to the wild card game against the Dolphins, would you have gone? If you had the ability to go, I know normally you're in LA, but if you would have had, transportation, the ability to go, even good seats, lower bowl, I'm giving you 50-yard line access to the fourth coldest game in NFL history, coldest game ever at kickoff at GHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. Would Mark Gunnels be making a trip out to the game?
Yeah, under those circumstances, yeah, I would have went. Now, there's no way I'm going and I'm sitting in the nosebleeds, though. There's no way. Like 50-yard line, lower bowl, yeah, I would have went.
It was funny because the whole week you could see people like start to evaluate and make their decisions. And there was like people who were trying to get rid of tickets that like were starting to realize, oh, I'm not even going to get face value for these. Like I'm about to lose. They went from like not to get face value to like, I might not even be able to get rid of this ticket. like they went from trying to sell a ticket just to give a ticket away. I went to a ski store the day before the game trying to get gear, and the lady there said they had been busy as they ever been. The game was like their biggest seller with ski mask and goggles, the net gaiters, the earmuffs, people wearing the overalls and stuff like that. Like this was truly an experience.
So how was your experience, Mr. Aaron Ladd?
Well, let's preview first before we talk about the coldest game at Arrowhead Stadium. We'll get into that in a moment. Appreciate y'all tapping in with us here on Chiefs Coast to Coast, Arrowhead Pride Podcast Network. Mark Gunnels is in Kansas City. He didn't check in. First. He's lucky he even made it to the pod today. You know what I mean? You lucky you even made it to be able to grace the mic today. You did not check in. You didn't let anybody know.
This dude called me some behind the scenes stuff. I guess he saw my story or whatever on Instagram and gave me a call. It was like, "You're in town? You didn't check in?" So he was checking on my well-being to make sure I was okay because I didn't check in with him.
I just want to make sure you know this is my territory now. Aaron Ladd's in Kansas City. Steven Serta's behind the board, episode 73. We'll recap the Kansas City Chiefs Super Wild Card Weekend win over the Miami Dolphins, the fourth coldest game in NFL history. I'll give my experience on that. We'll talk about another dominant performance for Kansas City's defense. We'll talk about the red zone woes for Kansas City's offense. And then let's give some flowers to Mark Gunnels. A much better showing in Vegas the last 2 weeks, including in Super Wild Card Weekend. He's going to keep that going into the divisional round as Patrick Mahomes prepares for his first road playoff game this upcoming Sunday in Orchard Park in Western New York. Can't have Chiefs Coast to Coast without you, the family, the listeners, the audience. Appreciate y'all tapping in with us wherever you're listening. The voicemail line has been going crazy in the playoffs. We got 3. Serta said that these might be the best voicemails that we ever got. I can't argue with that. Y'all are showing out in the playoffs, man.
I mean, you got to step your game up this time of the year, right? This is when the big players make big plays. So that goes to the fans as well, man. They're coming through strong with the voicemails.
816-514-1267 is our voicemail line. One of our voicemails is from Atlanta, ironically. As they look for a new head coach.
One of your people? It's your people?
It's not my people. Maybe it's the reach. Chiefs fans, Chiefs Kingdom in Atlanta tapping in, so we'll get to that at the end of the show. Let's start off with our Chiefs recap.
avoids, throws. He's a magician.
Chiefs recap.
(26-17) the final for the Chiefs as they advance past the Miami Dolphins. And yes, I'll say it again because I cannot say it enough. -4 at kickoff, Mark Gunnels. I thought as I was like being inside the stadium or like the press box, or like I like to do the arrival stuff. So even like in the tunnels beforehand, like I thought I'd be like, as long as I'm away from the wind, I'd be all right. No, 30 minutes and my hands are just hurting. It's brutally cold. I got the ski mask on. I got the hat, 2 North Face coats on. I had layers. I had the heat warmers in the feet. And I want to shout out Chiefs Kingdom because they did show up for this one. No, it was not a sellout, and you don't have to paint it as that. But the crowd was loud. The crowd was into the game. I think the crowd also understood the moment and the magnitude of what was going on. Like, yeah, I think people aren't happy the Chiefs are the 3 seed this year, Mark. But in this situation, you had $35 playoff tickets to see Patrick Mahomes in this. And I thought there was a nice crowd that showed up the day of the game. They were into the game, and I think they made an impact a couple of times too with the false start penalties and things we saw.
Well, here's the thing about the crowd aspect of this. The fact that tickets were so cheap for a playoff game, even if it wasn't sold out, I think it kind of got offset because you're getting people that maybe aren't used to going to Chiefs games.
This isn't the corporate crowd, not the corporate crowd.
You're getting the real diehards that's been there since the 90s and the 80s. You know, they probably were complaining about, oh, the tickets are so high now because of Mahomes and all the Chiefs winning and stuff like that. So they are probably the people that you got in that stadium on Saturday night, which I think offsets, like you mentioned, not the corporate Chiefs fans. So I still think you got the full Arrowhead experience, even if it wasn't 100% sold out because of that factor alone. And like you said, they understood the moment. They knew this was going to be a historical game, the 4th coldest game in NFL history, -4 degrees. Aaron Ladd is just, I don't know what he's doing right now, thinking about that cold weather. You know, he's just a kid from Georgia. He's not used to that type of stuff. So all of these things are in this moment at that time. And then also, you know, you got a guy named Tyreek Hill returning the Arrowhead for the first time as a visitor. So you add all that stuff together, and I think you get a really, really good, still vintage Arrowhead type of atmosphere.
This from Matt McMullen on Chiefs.com. The wind chill at kickoff was -27 degrees, marking it the 3rd coldest in league history, behind only the 1981 AFC Championship game and then the Ice Bowl, of course. This is history that we witnessed. And one of the questions I tossed up to our panel on Sunday Sound Off, a show we do on KSHV 41, is like, do you think Miami's just ineptitude on offense was more so due to the cold weather or due to Kansas City's defense? I wonder what you think about that. Some really cool notes about the Chiefs defense in this one, but none cooler than this, Mark. And then you can answer the question that we just started with. The Dolphins on offense didn't run a single play within the Chiefs' 25-yard line on Saturday. Whether you want to blame the cold, whether you want to say the Chiefs defense, you know, strapped it up by their bootstraps and proved that they're once again one of the league's elite, this was an all-out meltdown from Tua and the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of both, but I'm going to obviously lean more towards the Chiefs defense because we've seen these two teams play before in perfect conditions in Germany, and they only scored 14 points in that game. So I think you got to give the Chiefs defense a lot of that credit, especially the back end guys. You know, we keep talking about L'Jarius Sneed. You know, I know you saw that viral clip of him jamming up Tyreek. Tyreek was like, man, you jam my ass to Cancun. Being a good
I did see that.
I did
See that.
I mean, Waddle, I don't remember really hearing Waddle's name much, to be honest with you, in that game. The run game was pretty much shut down. You know, A-Chain was a guy that wasn't there the first meeting, their rookie running back sensation, and he didn't do much of anything on Saturday night. So, yeah, I think it's definitely a mixture of both, though, but you have to lean more towards the Chiefs defense just being super, super sticky and stifling.
Well, you brought it up, the shove, and the talk from Tyreek after, even the talk from Tyreek before, talking about I'm freezing my nuts off as he's walking into the stadium. I think he played up to it with the no sleeves, and even in the aftermath, right, for Tyreek Hill in this one, 8 targets, 5 catches, 62 yards, and the long touchdown. I think some of the stuff has been funny in the aftermath, because we talked in the lead up, and I even had Serta use that as the premiere clip for that episode. Like, this game meant a lot, I think, for Tyreek, and like, I don't want to say he's downplaying it now in the aftermath, but maybe now he realizes that, like, the ultimate trade-off I made for getting the max contract is maybe never winning a Super Bowl again, or being on a team that is of the Chiefs caliber. I mean, what do you make of the jam my ass to Cancun and like all the jokes he's been making on social media and like being light and fun with it?
He's playing Fortnite now. Have you seen that? He was complaining about his Wi-Fi earlier today. So he's back on Fortnite playing online with fans.
The schedule has opened up recently.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there is some truth to what you said. I think it is a harsh reality for him as a competitor. Obviously, when he first went down there, he was bigging up Tua, talking about he's the most accurate quarterback he's played with and things of that nature, just really, really bigging him up. But I think deep down inside, he sees when it gets down to these crunch moments, because that's been the thing all year about Miami, is they can't beat good teams. The only playoff team they beat, our team over 500, was the Cowboys, and that came down to the very, very last second. But outside of that, they've looked very pedestrian against the higher quality teams in this league. And then to lose to the Chiefs twice in 1 year, and both games really weren't even that close. I know the first game came down to the end, but the Chiefs were up 21-0 in that first game. Second half got a little weird there at the end, but I still never felt like they were going to win that game. And then obviously the most recent one on Saturday, it was complete domination from the beginning. I mean, the closest they got was when Tyreek got that touchdown. It was 10-7. You're like, okay. But then the Chiefs came back down and scored, and you're like, okay. You just never felt like Miami was really in it. It was just complete domination, especially starting up front on both sides of the ball. But back to Tyreek, though. I just think now he realizes, hey, I got my money. I'm living in Miami. I'm enjoying the lifestyle down there. I do got a ring already. So he does have that in his back pocket, which I do think makes things a little easier for him. But at the same time, he definitely wants to beat the Chiefs just to kind of stick it to him. But it's kind of hard to do that anyway, because even if they did beat the Chiefs already won a Super Bowl without you last year. So I feel like that kind of ruined the steam of the whole, like, you guys need me. How dare you trade me, when they literally won the first year without you. It's kind of hard to come back from that.
I got a couple people chapping in the chat right here. James Johnson Jr. says, what's up, fellas? We're making buffalo burgers this Sunday. Daniel Berry is tapped in on YouTube as well. A couple more defensive notes. Then we're going to hear from Charles Omenihu after this game. Kansas City held Miami's high-powered offense to 1 of 12 on third down and a season-low 7 points. The Dolphins also were held to their lowest yards per play in that Frankfurt game, about 5 yards per play in that Frankfurt game, 4.47 in this matchup on Saturday in Super Wildcard Weekend. Charles Omenihu was kind of quiet in this one, but has been a madman down the stretch and has been making a lot of plays that maybe don't appear on the stat sheet, but getting a lot of pressure as well. Talked with him about Kansas City moving on to the divisional round.
I didn't join the team to go to the divisional round. That's just what we got to do. I joined the team to get to Vegas. I've been to back-to-back NFC Championship games, so I want to get to the Super Bowl. So whatever I got to do to help this team do that, I'm going to do that.
This from Seth Wadler. Sorry, Seth. Highest pass rush win rates in the wild card round, regardless of alignment. Aiden Hutchinson, 33%. Charles Omenihu, 25%. Those are your top two from the Super Wild Card Weekend. Defensive effort, not just confined to the L'Jarius Sneed, Tyreek Hill thing, but they shut down the run game for Miami. That was the one thing that we were worried about. In the cold conditions, McDaniel being able to like scheme up Achane different ways. He didn't play in that matchup in Frankfurt. Like, we were worried about what he could bring to their offense and what he could do for keeping Mahomes on the sideline, kind of controlling game script. And KC essentially shut them down. They averaged 135.8 yards per game on the ground during the regular season, and they only had 76 rushing yards, Mark, on Saturday.
Yeah, and shout out to the linebackers as well. Willie Gay was flying around sideline to sideline. Nick Bolton downhill, very physical in the middle of that defense. Drew Tranquil. I mean, all those guys got involved. And like you mentioned up front, I mean, Chris Jones, Amenahu, all those guys, Noddy, just really penetrating, winning at the line of scrimmage. And that's what it came down to. And, you know, we talked about how this Miami team obviously is not used to these conditions. And it's hard to hit when it's really cold like that, man. Do you really want to move grown men in negative temperatures? Like, do you really, really want to? And it just seemed like from the beginning that the Chiefs were obviously the more physical team on both sides of the ball, and especially on defensive side of the ball, setting the tone, getting Miami off the field, getting off on third down, giving the ball back to Mahomes in that offense, and they were very efficient as well.
I didn't even want to get on my phone in that weather because, you know, you get on your phone, you got to take the one glove off, then you're typing, and then that. Once you take the glove off, the exposed skin is what kills you. Like, even like right here where my ski mask was like the eye slot, like we got to get you out of it next time. I think is what I want to happen, essentially.
Well, might have to wait till next year unless somehow there's an Arrowhead Invitational in a couple weeks.
We'll get to that a little bit later because Willie Gay sent out a message on X, and I'm like, Willie, you know, like you could still potentially have at that point. He could have still potentially had 2 Arrowhead games, at least one, right?
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah, I see. You got fooled a little bit on that one. I did too, but I saw your.
No, wait, that's his real account.
No, but I saw you. I
said it was fake at first.
Yeah, you thought it was fake. Yeah. I saw you. I caught you slacking. I caught you lacking.
Now you catch everything. After you called him Raheem Mustard last week, I really wanted him to score in the game because I had some stuff queued up. I was ready. I had memes ready for Raheem Mustard if he got in the end zone.
I can't blame you though, because that account only had like 1,000 followers. I'm like, really? But he just created a new account apparently.
She's Coast to Coast, episode 73. One last point as we recap the win over the Miami Dolphins. We'll talk about the whole game. The red zone woes, man. 2 for 6 in the red zone. And really it wasn't, they get the second score kind of at the end of the game. Like, this reminded me of the Bengals situation where it was like they were moving the ball so well in between the 20s. And then they got in the red zone and kind of like spit up on themselves. One thing that really pissed me off was the McCole Hardman reverse on 3rd and 2 or whatever that was.
I was yelling.
That to me was like, you're getting too cute. You're getting too cute. This is a team with geriatric defensive ends is what they were described to me as in the lead up. Like, they got 3rd stringers and practice squad guys out there. And we're getting cute on 3rd down. The play calling was part of it. The execution is just bad. I mean, like, if you want to, whoever you want to place blame on, coaching, players, execution, it's something that Kansas City's shown us. You know, the mental mistakes, the Jawan Taylor penalty that wipes away Rashid Rice's second score of the day. It's just, this is one of those things where going into Buffalo, it's like, there are red flags still on Kansas City on the issues that they said they've been trying to fix since week 2 or week 3. We're still here in early January seeing the same issues. Yeah,
and on that McCole Hardman play, the thing that really frustrates me is that should have been 4 down territory. So it's 3rd and 2. Run the ball with Pacheco. If you don't get it, maybe it's like 4th and inches, 4th and 1. Go for it. Like, you go for it. Yeah. Like, that was the infuriating part for me. I know you've been a real proponent of the Chiefs should be more aggressive in those situations on 4th down as well. So why not treat that like 4 down territory anyway on a 3rd and 2? So that definitely was very frustrating. But yeah, the red zone will definitely continue 100%. There's no doubt about that. But I was thinking, and it really had me wondering, because this is really a popular topic amongst Chiefs Kingdom about they're going to have to punch those in as touchdowns like when you play other teams and stuff like that. Do you really have to, though?
Absolutely.
Do you, though? Because we've seen
Absolutely.
teams.
Are you kidding me? Come
We've
on, dog.
we've seen the Patriots win a Super Bowl winning 13-3 against the Rams. Like, and that Patriots offense is kind of similar to this Chiefs offense. It wasn't very explosive. They had Gronk. You got Kelsey. They won a Super Bowl on the strength of ball control, not turn the ball over, and defense. Why can't you win a Super Bowl like this? They still scored 26 points. It's 26 points. It's not enough to win.
What would worry me in that situation is the timing of it. So, like, if you're like the Green Bay game, if you're playing a quarterback that gets up 14-0 quickly and you're trading 14 for 3 and 6, like you're gonna get down. No, that you got to punch it in every time. Here, I'll give you a little bit more information before we hear from Creed Humphrey, because he had an uncharacteristic bad snap that kind of ended one of those drives in the red zone. Here's 4 possessions for KC. And their last snaps in those 4 possessions against Miami. They ended at the Miami 10, the Miami 8, the Miami 48, which was a punt, and the Miami 14. So the 10, the 8, the 48, and the 14. They got 9 points out of that. 3 field goals and a punt. It's like at a certain point, somebody else is going to make you pay for that. Against a Miami and Tua, who was freezing cold and really hasn't been able to put it together, and Spags is scheming up all types of different stuff that makes him hesitant and not want to throw the ball. Like, yeah, you can get away with getting inside the 10-yard line in some cases and not getting a touchdown, but like there's going to become a point where you need 7 on this play. And in those instances, since the start of the season, KC has not executed more often than they have.
Oh, I thought you were going to the Creed sound, but
yeah, we can let's go to the Creed sound real quickly, because we are going long on this. Well, let's hear from Creed. He had a bad snap. He took accountability for it.
Stalled out in the red zone a few times again. We just got to execute better. I know I had a low snap on one of those drives that cost us. I got to be better in that, and then yeah, it's just executing. We got to be able to do that. Focus on the details when we get down there. Is it more comfort?
He actually said the reason why the snap was bad, and this was pretty funny to me, like nobody had been on that side of the field yet, or they hadn't spent much time, because obviously Miami wasn't on the 25-yard line for KC. He said the ground. That was his reason for the bad snap. I thought that was actually pretty funny.
But to my point, like obviously I want the Chiefs to score a touchdown every single time. That's not what I'm saying. But I was just wondering, because nobody's brought this up before, the way the defense is playing so well, even if you get 3 on these possessions, I feel like those points are still super valuable considering how good your defense is. Now, if this was like a defense in the past, like a normal Mahomes era defense, then I wouldn't even be bringing this up, because they wouldn't even be in the playoffs right now, obviously. But I think if you get in that 24, 27 area, talking about the Chiefs offense, you should still win. They don't give up more than that. They haven't given up 30 all year to anybody. So yeah, obviously I want touchdowns, but if you get the 24, 27 points and you kick a few field goals here and there, you still should win.
Chiefs defense has allowed 20 or fewer points in 14 of 18 games so far this season, marking the most of any team in the league. I can't believe we've gone this far without talking about Rashid Rice and his big breakout. And I don't even know if we can call it a big breakout, but when it's your first playoff game and you go out there and get 12 targets, catch 8 of them for 130 yards and a score, it classifies as a breakout. I even saw where I think Charles Goldman found this, where KC has moved him into the official wide receiver 1 portion of the depth chart. So like, if anybody is going to unopen this can take where it's like Rashid Rice is the Chiefs' #1 option, like congrats, you got to the party 4 months late. Like he's the guy for them. He's the straw that stirs the drink for their offense, and a big reason why they were so successful in this game is his play.
Yeah, and he's so good on those crossing routes where he can have a full head of steam. I mean, he catches the ball and just goes. Like I said this before, there's just no hesitation at all. There's no trying to dance around. Like he catches it in stride too. Like him and Mahomes have a good chemistry. Like when have you seen them have like a miscommunication? I don't remember. Maybe early in the year, like when he wasn't Rashid Rice yet, but it seems like now almost every target they're on the same page where he can catch the ball in stride. It's not behind them, not too far ahead of them. It's just right there, perfectly in the breadbasket. And he's getting a better understanding of the offense of where he needs to be, it seems, each and every week. And this staff obviously has confidence in him. I mean, his snap count, I think he has 61, which obviously was number one out of all the receivers on Saturday. So it's really a welcome sight to see because, man, I don't know where this offense would be without his development. I mean, it's actually scary to think about.
Is it possible that Matt Nagy has been listening to Chiefs Coast to Coast, Mark Gunnels?
I wouldn't put it past. He seemed like a guy that listens to podcasts in his free time. I can see that.
The Chiefs opening drive. Pass intended for Kelsey, pass intended for Rice. Kelsey catch, Pacheco run, Kelsey catch, Pacheco run, Rice touchdown.
The big
three. We've been begging for this. This is almost like when you play Madden and it's like, all right. Like, I'm not even gonna mess around with like these ancillary guys. They didn't even make Justin Ross active. Kadarius Toney was inactive as well, right?
We said it a couple weeks ago, man. I think this is a soft. I don't know if you can call it soft anymore. Benching of Kadarius Toney, and we said we're probably not gonna see him the rest of this season. And yeah, he's been practicing now, so they can't say the injury thing. I just think they're rolling with what they got right now. They don't take any risk. I mean, could you imagine just bringing Toney in off the bench cold and he drops the ball that leads to a pick in Orchard Park Sunday? The Chiefs Twitter would lose their mind. I think there's no way he plays the rest of this year.
I can only imagine what you would say in that situation. I want to craft a post on X for you to just like stir Chiefs Twitter or Chiefs X. Anything else on this wild card game before we transition? I'm trying to scroll through the chat. See if anybody's talking wild card.
Harrison Butker. Let's talk about him, man. I mean,
yeah,
it's
another perfection.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of ignore him when he's doing everything he's supposed to do, but I feel like that's unfair to him because we only talk about him when he misses something. So, and people talk about how hard it is to kick a ball, especially in those conditions. It's like as hard as a rock, man. So, just money, just perfect as just ho hum. Comes to work with his lunch pail like Aaron Ladd, with his hard hat on, and he's just perfect, man. So, and I have a weird feeling. I know we're gonna get into it, but he may be very valuable this Sunday. I'd say that.
Butker is 37 of 39 on the year and has made all 40 of his extra point tries. We kind of teased this a little bit earlier, but I thought it was interesting that Willie Gay went ahead and said, it looks like I've probably played my last game at Arrowhead. Damn, I'm going to miss that place. Nothing like it. Let's go get this ring and end it the right way. We kind of knew that there's going to be an odd man out in this linebacker room, but Willie's kind of putting it on the table that it's going to be him. He doesn't expect a deal back in the kingdom, which I thought was interesting to say. To going into the divisional round, like usually that's something you see like maybe AFC Championship weekend or maybe like right before the Super Bowl, obviously, which is the last game of the year, no matter what. He's putting it out there early. Maybe obviously we'll dig more into like the actual like logistics of the room and the offseason and that kind of thing. But you gave the linebackers some love for their performance in Miami, and I think they're going to be important in Buffalo as well, considering how active their tight ends are.
Yeah, 100%. I just think it's pretty odd that he posted that right now because there's still a chance they could host the AFC Championship game. If you win this week and if Houston beats Baltimore, you have your 6th straight Arrowhead Invitational. So we'll see. Still a lot of football to be played, Willie.
What's your Like, what are the odds on that you would like? I wonder how likely you think that scenario is playing out, because Pete Sweeney, Chief Sweeney, the one and only editor-in-chief of arrowheadpride.com, floated that idea before the Steelers and Bills even played. He's like, I don't think the Steelers are going to beat Buffalo, but so I think there's a lot of people that are eyeing that.
Yeah, and I like the fact that Houston-Baltimore game is on Saturday, so you can kind of already know your fate heading into Sunday, and you kind of just chill and watch that game relaxed. But I wouldn't say it's likely. I mean, obviously the Ravens, if you did power rankings right now, they're probably number one team in the NFL, especially since they beat the Niners in San Francisco on Christmas Day, pretty much handled them in that game. So you got to give them that nod right now as the favorite, I would say, to win the whole entire thing. But we've seen this team before. I know it's not the same team. That 2 weeks off is kind of weird, man. Like, they didn't play week 18 and they had the bye. That's a long time without playing football. And the Houston Texans are hot. They basically had 2 playoff games, because don't forget, they had to win week 18 just to get in against the Colts in Indianapolis. So they've been in playoff mode ever since the Ravens have been kicking their feet up. And they're a young team. CJ Stroud, he's not your normal rookie. He's very
playing with house money at this point.
Yeah, you know you love that house money. I do too. But I'm just saying, man, they're going to be loose. They're having fun. All the pressure's on Baltimore because they're in Super Bowl or bust territory. Houston's already well overachieved on the year. Nobody expected them to be this far at all before the year. They're already supposed to win 8 games before the season. So the fact that they have a chance to go to the AFC title game is amazing if you're a Texans fan. You got CJ on a rookie contract, all that cap space. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with. They kind of give me Cincinnati vibes, man. I feel like this is going to be like the new Bengals, bro. Like that team that kind of comes out of nowhere. You kind of think they're cute and fun at first until they actually beat you. Then you're like, oh, okay, they're serious now. So we'll see. I mean, I'm picking Baltimore, obviously, but I wouldn't be shocked, though. I think Houston's going to make it close.
You said the same thing about the Jaguars coming into this year, and they didn't even make the postseason.
I did, man. I did. I was way off on that one.
Let's just say we know there will not be a rematch of Super Bowl 57 this year. That was something that was highly anticipated and speculated.
What a collapse.
That will not happen after the Philadelphia Eagles were beaten handily 32-9 in Tampa Bay in Super Wildcard Weekend. Philadelphia 1-6 down the stretch. That's the story here, right? They were 10-1 at one point and didn't win a game for quite some time. And their one win was against the Giants.
What was their record since good old Nick yelled at Chiefs fans in the tunnel? 2-6 since that moment. Don't mess with Arrowhead, man. You know, you had Darius Slade doing the tomahawk chop. Nick Sirianni yelling at Chiefs fans. I don't hear you now, Chiefs fans. Well, now you're at home. Congrats on your November Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles.
I just knew you were going to have fun with that. I knew you were going to.
You are too. You posted the video last night. I saw that.
Well, look, I have to post engaging content. That's what we do. And I think it's funny because the Chiefs have had these like little rivalries with so many teams, and Philly's kind of in that mix. I think there's mutual respect between the two fan bases, but that moment right there, and hey, there's speculation around that guy. I don't know if he's going to get fired. I could see some like changes happening on their staff, because when you collapse the way they did, I mean, they didn't look like a team who wanted to compete in the second half against Tampa Bay, a team that was pretty much average as can be. I just think it's funny that these like little rivalries, you know, the Bengals rivalry, I think is much bigger, but this Philly rivalry, I think that it still has like a little juice to it, especially when I saw the reaction to their loss last night.
Yeah, 100%. And shout out to Jason Kelce, though, man.
Yeah, for sure.
A 6-time All-Pro, obviously the brother of Travis. I think that's kind of where a lot of the mutual respect comes in. We know with the New Heights podcast, those guys being very entertaining and hilarious and things of that nature. So I do think Chiefs Kingdom does have a lot of respect when it comes to Jason Kelce. It's just unfortunate that their head coach had to do what he did, it kind of stained a lot of the good vibes or good feelings maybe you could have had towards the Eagles. Because, speaking for me personally, I never had any disdain towards the Eagles. They're in the NFC. We play them maybe once every 4 or 5 years.
Andy Reid's former team. That's the reason why you got Andy Reid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Andy Reid, I actually kind of liked them a little bit, because they had Donovan McNabb back in the day, T.O. I was kind of a fan of those teams from afar. So, but he's too much, man. Just yelling at fans. It's not just Chiefs fans. He's done it to other fan bases too. Doesn't look like a very did you see the video? Remember the video on Super Bowl when he was like doing all that and Jalen Hurts put his hand down? Like, hey, stop. That's when you should have knew that locker room doesn't really like him like that. It's just that winning kind of mask everything. Like Hurts looking at him like, bro, like you're being a kid right now. Like, calm down. So we'll see what happens with them. But shout out to Jason, though, man. Definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer for sure.
See, I don't know if he's first ballot. I saw your post about that. And C-Dot kind of talked about that too.
You don't think so?
Offensive lineman getting into the hall, first ballot, that's kind of rare. The situation that I think would actually be really cool, especially here in KC, is if he goes in with Travis. Like that would be, especially considering like the game and what Donna Kelsey was around the game and how they've kind of intertwined their legacies together. I even reposted a video today, Travis giving love, saying that the whole reason why he wears 87 is because Jason was born in 1987 and started the whole family legacy of them playing in the National Football League. Like, I think that's the real cool thing that could potentially come, but there's still a lot to happen before that.
But that would mean Travis got to retire at the same time, though, right?
Well, you got 5 years after you hang it up. So let's say, we know Travis is going to be first ballot. So does Travis play for 2 more years and Jason goes in on the second ballot? Or second or third. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. It can align that way. Okay, I got you.
I think that'd be cool. It's something, and it would definitely put butts in the seats for sure for that Hall of Fame game, which I'm sure will be on Peacock or Paramount Plus or something by then.
It'll be on Aaron Ladd TV by then.
Let's get to the Chiefs preview.
Stop it. You can't do this. You can't escape. You can't make these plays. You can't make these throws.
Come on, give us a sneak preview.
Chiefs preview.
Well, here it is. After so much speculation, when is it going to happen? When is Patrick Mahomes going to have to go on the road in the NFL playoffs? That is something that has been talked about. And I mean, that's Chiefs lore. He may never have to do it. Mark Gunnels was still up late at night trying to figure out ways to tabulate and see if he could get the Steelers and maybe the game's not over. Mark, it's okay. And who would you, this is who you want it to be, right? Like we talk about the little legacies, like what better chapter to add after 13 seconds and the Kadarius Toney lining up in Kansas to then have Patrick Mahomes' first road playoff game be against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. It'll be Sunday, 5:30 KC time on CBS here locally. Chiefs and Bills. What's your gut tell you just initially what's going to be the difference between these two teams on Sunday, Mark Gunnels?
I'm going to say the middle of the field, talking about Buffalo's defense. Their linebacking core is in shambles right now. I don't know if you've seen, but they got a lot of injuries, a lot of guys banged up. We'll know a lot more tomorrow and throughout the week. We look at the practice report and things of that nature, but I don't think they're going to be fully healthy regardless. And I think that's going to be a big detriment to them. They're already without Matt Milano, who I think is one of the best cover linebackers in the league, super athletic, sideline to sideline, can guard your tight end. I think this screams the Travis Kelce game. And I think the Chiefs will be able to run the ball as well up front and be very physical and kind of lean on that like they did the past couple weeks. So I think those two things from the offensive standpoint for the Chiefs stand out to me. And obviously, which team takes care of the ball. I think both teams are pretty evenly matched. I really truly believe that. So which team
in the turnover category?
No, just evenly matched just overall, like as
I was
teams.
about to say, because Josh still been kind of light with the ball.
Oh,
And Sarah and I
yeah.
were kind of talking about this before you hopped on. Like, Buffalo could have put that game away well before they did. It was 21-0, and then they let up 17 unanswered, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like Buffalo, the last 2 weeks, if you include, and credit to you, this is something you said earlier in the show, like teams have been playing playoff football for a while. Like that Miami game in week 18, the last game of the regular season on NBC, like that was essentially a playoff game.
Yeah.
I mean, they were going to be in, but they wanted to win the division, and they wanted to have what's going to happen right now, which is they wanted to be in a situation where Patrick Mahomes has to come to them this time. You know, they don't have to go to Arrowhead anymore.
Yeah, 100%. But not to mention, that's kind of goes to my point about the Pittsburgh game. Pittsburgh gave them a couple of freebies. George Pickens fumbled in their own territory, like at the 20-yard line. Basically gave Buffalo a free touchdown. And then Mason Rudolph threw a pick in the end zone, 2nd and goal at the 4-yard line. I don't know why they were even passing in that situation. So you could make the argument that Pittsburgh, it should have been a lot closer if they didn't shoot themselves in the foot in those 2 turnovers. So I say all that to say this. I do think this is great for Patrick Mahomes, though, because we always see the legend.
Why is it great? No. Why is it great for Patrick Mahomes?
Great for his legacy, because
oh gosh,
it's been a question. And you know, all the greats in any sport, they always have these moments where they go on the road in a hostile environment, Aaron. 80,000 people yelling at you, screaming at you, and you just rip their hearts out. I mean, what better way would it be for after the Kadarius Toney game? You know, Josh Allen's been coming to your crib, albeit in the regular season, and just
3-1 against Mahomes in the regular season. Josh Allen is
beating you like a pulp in Arrowhead in the regular season, but still beating you to go into Orchard Park in front of Bills Mafia, Aaron, and just rip their hearts out. Because all week you're going to hear about how this is Mahomes' first road playoff game. I don't know if he can handle it. Kadarius Toney last game. Man, that was crazy. That's going to be all the narratives and all those type of things are going to be building up. And the Chiefs are an underdog. Mahomes is an underdog. I know it's on the road, but I'm just saying, like, I think it's setting up really nicely for a Patrick Mahomes game. I really believe that.
Let's give a couple Patrick Mahomes numbers before we head off to Vegas. We'll be kind of light on our preview as we have a lot of voicemails on the backhand side. One of those, don't take it for granted stats. Mark Gunnels, Mahomes now has the 8th most postseason victories by a quarterback in league history. Already, 8th most. He's top 10 playoff victories already after beating the Dolphins. Another one, Kansas City has now won 13 playoff games under Andy Reid. They had 22 playoff wins before Andy Reid. 22 playoff wins is a first. Andy Reid has 13 since he's been here. Kansas City has won 1 postseason game in the last 6 years. Before this, they had won a playoff game in a total of 6 individual seasons.
Wow.
Don't take it for granted. You're watching greatness, and according to Mark Gunnels, you're about to witness one of those all-time storybook moments. I mean, like, you were just you should write like a Disney book or something.
Why? Are you saying it's fiction? Is that what you're trying to say?
You're dreaming in fairy tales and
wow,
setting up for Mahomes.
man, that's a very depleted defense right now, and not to mention. You know how we were talking about how the Chiefs were having the rest disadvantage the back half of the season? Well,
yeah, now they get the get back.
Not in this one, buddy. You played on Saturday, and the Bills, because they got pushed back, played on Monday. And they got a lot of injuries. That's a big advantage for the Chiefs this time of year.
It's a little too early in the week for me to pick the game, but let's head off to Vegas.
Place your bets
Oh, there it is. There it is. 2 touchdowns. Win by at least 3.
Let's go to Vegas with Mark.
I was trying to teach Harold how to do that at the game to stay warm. You know,
wow.
what is that called? What is that?
Rashid Rice did?
Like
I'm not sure what that's called, actually. You should know
we're
that. You're
old.
from Georgia.
Yo, we're old. It's it's officially over. We're back in Vegas. I want to give Mark Gunnels his flowers because over the last 2 weeks, he's perfect. 4-0 over the last 2 weeks, including a perfect 3-0 week last week. He took the under on Tyreek Hill's receiving yards, 85.5. That was a hit. Tyreek Hill finished with 62 yards, I believe.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. I know he didn't hit the over.
Under 44 on the total points. 26-7 was the final. And Chiefs were 4-point favorites. That one cleared easily. So 3-0 week for Mark Gunnels in the Super Wildcard round. 4-0 the last 2 weeks. He's feeling good. He's feeling confident. He can see 500. Do you have 3 plays for us this week, Mark? Or is it a little?
I'm sticking with 3.
Three plays for Mark Gunnels this week ahead of the AFC Divisional Round. First road playoff game for Patrick Mahomes. Mark Gunnels, take it away.
Yeah, so I mentioned about the Bills' defense being depleted, the middle of the field. So probably no surprise where I'm going on this one. Mahomes over on passing yards at 260.5. I looked at the weather report. Seems to be pretty clear weather out there at Orchard Park on Sunday. About 25 degrees, sunny, no elements at all. So just cold, but the Chiefs just played in negative temperature. So 25 should feel like summer to them. So I think they'll be able to sling the ball around the field. And with the Bills, they play a lot of zone. I think they'll find a lot of soft spots in there. And, yeah, I love this play a lot. So Mahomes over 260.5. And then another player prop. I'm going to keep doing this until it doesn't hit, man. I should have been doing this earlier. Taking the under on Stephon Diggs receiving yards. It's at 63.5. Last time he played the Chiefs, he only had 24 yards. And ever since they switched offensive coordinators, he hasn't been involved as much for some odd reason in their offense. And, you know, you're seeing a little frustration from him, but they've been winning games, so he can't be too much of a diva because they're still winning, right? So I love that number a lot. Snead just continues to lock up number 1 receivers week in and week out. So until this doesn't hit, I'm just going to keep doing that. It's going to be a staple play from this point on, as long as the Chiefs keep moving on with their season. So you got that, and then Chiefs money line, baby. Forget the spread. Get that plus money. Let's be a little risky here. Now the spread's only 2.5. Why not take it all the way, man? Chiefs win the game. You can get it right now. Plus money on any sports book you like. I just think anytime you got Mahomes as an underdog, road or at home, you gotta take it, man, because it's very, very rare that he's the underdog, and the Chiefs are underdogs in general. And I just really think first road playoff game, like I said, you're going to see a Mahomes masterclass. So those are my 3 plays. Mahomes over on passing yards at 260.5. Stephon Diggs under receiving yards at 63.5. And Chiefs straight up winners on the money line.
I really like this. I really like this ticket. I can't even hate on it.
You want to hate so bad.
I think you actually, I mean, it took you till damn near week 20, the divisional round, but Mark Gunnels is finally cooking up some winners. Ironically, our first voicemail from Sam in Atlanta, he's confident about some plays too, and he's been listening to your Vegas selection. Sam in Atlanta, what's up?
Mark, Aaron, fellas, what's good? This is Sam in Atlanta calling. First, Aaron, when you're in Atlanta, what's your spot for watching Chiefs games, man? Would love to meet up and build Chiefs Nation here in the ATL. As for this week's game, guys, I'm feeling good. I got us by 10 over the Bills. That's because this defense is on the rise, and it's the best in the league. Pat knows how to play ball in this new offense, not making mistakes, and we got an up-and-comer in Rashid. So mark it, fellas. We could even bet the house on it. Chiefs by 10 this weekend over the Bills in Orchard Park. Go Chiefs.
At the house. Yeah.
Sam in Atlanta is betting the house on a 10-point Chiefs win in the AFC Divisional Round. That was really cool voicemail. I want to start by saying I've never watched a Chiefs game outside of really like working. I don't like, there have been like few and far between times when I've gone to like a bar and maybe watched a Chiefs game, but I've never been in Atlanta and watched a Chiefs game.
I do know for a fact there is a Chiefs bar in Atlanta. I don't know what it's called, but I do have a homie that lives down there and said there's a Chiefs bar down there, but I forgot the name, so I'll get that for you.
It's cool to know that there are some. I mean, hell, they don't have a professional football team in Atlanta, so I'm glad that the other people in that area.
You about to get Belichick. They just interviewed him.
He interviewed them, not the other way around.
What's our next question?
You didn't even respond to what he said. Chiefs by 10. Are you that confident?
I can see that actually. I can see the Chiefs win by 2 scores. I really can. Like I said, man, short week, a lot of injuries. Josh Allen's turnover prone. He's gonna give you 1 or 2. Well, I'll at least say this: he's gonna give you opportunities to get 1 or 2. Now, will you catch him or not is the thing, but he's gonna give you at least 1 or 2 interceptable passes. So I can see it, man. I can see. I'm not trying to be too over my skis here because it's kind of scary how confident I am about this game. You would think I shouldn't be, but I just got a good feeling about this game, Aaron. I just really do.
L'Jarius Sneed since week 15, 23 targets, 10 receptions, 87 yards allowed, 4 forced incompletions, and a 54.1 passer rating when being targeted. Our next voicemail is some divisional round trash talk. Let's hear this.
Josh Allen and the Bills. You guys tried everything in your power to avoid the inevitable. You tried to get the rules changed last year, the other year, or whatever, in overtime. You done had the game rescheduled for a little bit of snow, raggedy, unserious franchise having the fans go out there and dig out their own seats. Pathetic. But listen, it doesn't matter because it all in Sunday. Okay? The Grim Reaper is showing up to Buffalo, and we leaving with all the tables, the wings, the ketchup, and put all my shit up until next year. The only thing that y'all going to remember after this season is that the only thing your quarterback accomplished in the offseason after this whole year was being on the cover of Madden. We will see you on Sunday. Rest in peace.
No name attached to that one.
I wonder
no name
why.
Attached to that one.
I wonder why. Speaking of
that was just like kind of theatrical. He was like evil villain laughing. Like he started with an evil laugh. It was like, can I push back on a little bit of the confidence really quickly? I know we're at the end of the show, but like Miami is not a great team, especially the Miami that showed up. And then you throw the weather on top of that. Like we were all expecting KC to do what they did. I appreciate that there is like a renewed confidence in the Chiefs again. I think a lot of it has to do with offensively how well they move the ball within the 20. Hey yo.
Hey yo. Hey yo. Clip that. I got you. Yeah. Clip that, sir. Hey, yo.
Yo. I think a lot of the confidence has to do with how well Kansas City played within the 220-yard lines. But I don't think that all is right still. Gosh, the chat is just going to light me up on that one. I don't know. I'm glad that KC has gained some confidence from that, but it doesn't really change how I feel about some of their flaws.
So I know you said it's too early for you to pick, but it sounds like you're leaning Buffalo as of right now.
This is a pick'em to me. This is a straight up pick'em. I got to see the practice reports. I'm going to be in the practice facility on Wednesday and Thursday this week. And I really want to see and talk to and get a feel and see like another one. And then we shouldn't have saved this to the end of the episode, but like if Wanye can go this week, do you plug him back in for Donovan Smith or do you let Donovan Smith rock?
Nah, you got to ride with Donovan Smith. You got to ride with Donovan, man. He played the playoff game. He's a veteran. I don't think you play around with that no more at this point.
Ironically, our last voicemail for today is about the other tackle position.
Any chance we could put Lucas Niang in the second half? Because watching Jawan Taylor is just disgusting.
I'm guessing that was a halftime voicemail.
Yeah, he wanted that change in the game on Saturday.
Upon further review, he got pushed in the back, which then he made him push somebody else in the back.
Yeah,
And
I don't think
the refs
Jawan. I don't know all the numbers and the PFF grades and stuff like that. I just know my eye test. I didn't think Jawan was that. I didn't think it was bad Saturday. I thought the line in general played pretty good. I mean,
ironically, the PFF numbers were pretty good for Taylor. I think it's just, I think it's literally just the penalty. I think it's just at this point, it's like Josh Allen. You pencil him in for one turnover, you can pencil Jawan Taylor in for one penalty a game. Essentially, you just hope that it doesn't end a drive.
Yeah, and I guess his get magnified more because all his penalties seem to be like in big moments or like in a crucial part of the game. So like it doesn't look like a normal penalty when he does it for some reason. So, but I think all in all, the line was really good Saturday. I mean, Mahomes was patting the ball 3 or 4 times, and he wasn't running around like he was in that Raiders game on Christmas at all, really. So, I mean, granted, you were going against pass rushers in their 40s, like Justin Houston and Melvin Ingram and guys like that. But, we'll see how they do on Sunday.
No more voicemails. One last question from the chat before we get out of here. How do you feel about Harbaugh to the Bolts?
I think it'll be a good move for them. I'm not sure if they're willing to pay the money that he's going to desire because, the Chargers can be kind of cheap at times with that ownership group. But, I mean, obviously, as a Chiefs fan, you don't want them to get better. But just speaking from an objective standpoint, I think that would be a slam dunk hire for them.
You can speak from an objective standpoint. Have you ever done that before?
Yeah, I always do that. I'm objective on this show every week.
Of the two people here, you are certainly not the objective one.
Sure, whatever.
All right. Well, that's our divisional round preview. We will be back Tuesday at 5:30, whether it's a win or a loss.
We'll be previewing the AFC Championship next week.
You're betting the house on it?
I'm not doing that. I'm not jinxing my team again. I'm not
bet the house on it.
I would be. I'm not. I would be a bad fan if I said that again.
You just called yourself objective 30 seconds ago.
I am objective.
Call yourself a fan.
I'm objective, but I'm still a Chiefs fan. You could do both. You could be a fan and be objective. You don't think you can? I'm a Royals fan. I'm not saying the Royals are going to the World Series.
You are not a Royals fan.
I am
You're not a Royals fan.
I am.
Name 3 Royals pitchers right now.
Bro, all right. See you next week, man.